Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about a film that several people might view as a cult classic. I actually just recently got around to seeing this film after numerous years of just seeing clips and bits and segments of this film, but never all the way through. But I finally sat down and watched it all the way through in its entirety, and that would be the film Super Troopers. I know this film is being considered and even being made right now as a sequel. So the sequel, I think, in about another year or so, will be released, from what I'm aware of. But I know the comedy team Broken Lizard worked on this film, and I think even one of the members. We'll flip this upside down. I think this guy right here of the Broken Lizard team directed this film as well. So I guess to go over what Super Troopers is ultimately about before what I have to say about it, what I got out of this film was that it's about these state troopers that are kind of at risk of having their station shut down. A lot of their troops on their team misbehave and mess up. They arrest people on occasion. Of course, they do their jobs when they can, but they're not very good at their jobs. They do things very drastically and very severely that a lot of people in their profession wouldn't handle that way. Um, and so they just have too many bad things on their records to really keep that station afloat. So they have the option of working for another police force that they don't like, or sticking with the team that they're on, but more than likely their station will be shut down eventually. Just because, like I said, there's just too many bad things that are going on for this team. A lot of them really don't behave and really don't do their jobs all that well. A lot of them have been suspended from police work and things like that. And when they are on police work, they do things just like functioning the radio and not really out arresting people or anything like that. Um, while all that's going down, they have to figure out this big drug bust where their Broken Lizard logo appears to be on all the stashes of marijuana. So that guy right there, the little monkey guy, and they have to figure out what that's all about while also trying to keep their station afloat. So overall, guys, I know a lot of people love this film. I know a lot of people view it as a cult classic, and people say it's one of those films that just kind of grows on you, and the humor just develops on you over time and all that good stuff. But overall, after seeing it in its entirety and seeing the jokes, flow into the story and see how the story fits in with all these jokes and everything, I really got to say, guys, I was not a huge fan of Super Troopers. I really wanted to like it. There was a lot of points in the film that I did enjoy. There definitely were scenes that I liked that were funny. But overall, as an overall experience, as an overall story for a film, I just wasn't super impressed with it. So going over my positives and negatives of Super Troopers, one of my positives for this movie is I do think it does develop its own personality. I think it really is its own little narrative. I think because these guys are just so out there and they're so obscure with how they handle these state trooper jobs. It really does develop its own personality. It's really a film where it just spends time with these guys for a long time. You get to see their relationships and how they're friends and how some of them don't like each other and how um, when they're out on patrol on the streets somewhere, how people really don't like these guys. When they get pulled over, not only are they scared to death, they're worried at just how severe they're going to handle the arrest and all that stuff. So I like how this film does develop a personality. It really does try to be its own film. I did watch this film really thinking to myself, it really is trying to be its own thing. Sure there's raunch, sure there's the absolutely obscure state trooper joke or prank they pull on somebody, but it really does try to be its own film. So I will give it credit for that. It really does try to be its own personality. And there really are some occasional good jokes. I would say whenever we see jokes where these state patrol officers are out and about, and, they pull someone over and they say meow instead of now or and all that kind of stuff. Or one of them was messing around with these guys who were clearly stoned off some drugs, and was really just messing with them just because he knows how messed up their brains are at that point in time. So there's things like that that I think do work. So there are jokes where you can tell before making this film they really knew what kind of humor they wanted. So I'll give them credit for that. There were some scenes where the jokes do work for the most part. There's also a character in this film, I don't remember the character's name, but he has a romantic fling with one of the lady police officers of his state patrol team, and I think it does work. I think the romance between those two people do work. It is interesting to see, kind of how they form a relationship of their own and how, they're still on the job, they're still state patrol officers, but they kind of have their own little cute little romantic fling. And I think when we see these two characters together, the screen chemistry does work for the most part. And I do think there are some working cutesy cop jokes throughout the film, when it's not trying to be too raunchy or anything like that. I think some of the cutesy jokes do work for the most part. But for my negatives of Super Troopers, because like I said earlier, I was really not a huge fan of this film, and this is why. I think a lot of the jokes do fall flat. There's a lot of jokes here where I was just really scratching my head trying to figure out why would that be funny. Am I supposed to consume beer before consuming, before watching this film, or am I supposed to approach this film a certain way? So there's just a lot of jokes in this film that really do fall flat, and I was really disappointed in that regard. Another negative I have with Super Troopers, and you might have been able to tell by the synopsis I provided earlier, and I really don't think that's my fault. I really think that is a fault of the script for this film, is this film really does not have much of a plot. I really do think a film needs to have more than just, oh, well, these state patrol officers mess up all the time and they're about to lose their jobs, and they're, hey, there's this drug bust thing, and they kind of lose track of that, and then it goes back on track again, and now they're about to lose their jobs, and it's just like, it really needs a more of a plot. It really needs to be more grounded of what is the story? What is the story? What am I supposed to get out of this? What am I supposed to? How are these characters meant to grow? How is by the time the film is over, are they going to realize that they're just idiotic police officers? Are they going to realize that they are better off doing different jobs? I really don't know what plot this film really wanted out of itself, and I think that's one thing that Super Troopers could have done better, is deciding what kind of plot it wanted. And also, I did not like the musical score for this film. It was very much a heavy metal kind of score. I didn't recognize the composer who was credited for the musical score during the end credits. I did not like the musical score for this film. It was very distracting, very annoying. It just seemed like your typical college beer movie when the score happened. It just really did not work at all for me. I would have really preferred a more comedic score to this film that really would have felt like a Super Troopers movie kind of score. So the score they went with, I was not super impressed with. Also, I feel this film has a very low IQ. There's a lot of moments here where either the film thinks I'm stupid or the film itself is stupid. And I really would have preferred something that would have acknowledged and give the audience a little bit more respect and credit. The film Dumb and Dumber, for example, they focus on stupid characters. And when I say Dumb and Dumber, I do mean the first one, not the not so great sequels that happen later on. What made that film special is there was two stupid characters within a smart script. This is a stupid movie within a stupid script that had stupid characters centering around it. So I just don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to completely turn my brain off while watching this film. There was moments where it was supposed to nudge at me and tell me, hey, think a little bit more about this, and there was other moments where it's nudging at me saying, hey, don't think about this too much. Now we're trying to be really stupid. And I don't know, it feels like a very low IQ film, and I really had a hard time getting into it at times. And also, I can't talk about this too much because it will go into spoilers, even though I think most people who are going to watch this review have probably already seen this film since it's been around for a while. But to avoid spoilers, I don't think this film has much of a resolution. I feel these characters were the same people at the beginning of the film that they were at the end of the film. I felt like none of them really learned anything. If a sequel does happen, it sounds like it will. I don't know where these characters are going to be. I don't know how they're going to grow or what kind of further story we can take these characters in. I just don't. Without a resolution to this film, I really feel like, what can Super Troopers 2 really do with these characters? And my last negative of the film is I really do think there are too many drinking scenes in this film. People are like, oh, well, that's the kind of film it's supposed to be. The Broken Lizard made Beer Fest and all this other stuff. I really do think there's too many drinking scenes in this film. And they're not funny. They're flat. They're boring. They're stupid. They're not funny. And I really think would have preferred a film that would have focused more on the road and pulling people over, because I really do think the better jokes of the film happen at those moments. And the second these cops are just drinking and goofing around and really not doing anything and not being state patrol officers, the film just gets straight out stupid. So overall, I'm going to give Super Troopers, or Stupid Troopers as I'm just going to start to probably call it, 6 out of 10. It's really not a great film. If you just want to see what all the buzz and hype is about and why some people view it as a cult classic, maybe give it a view. Certainly don't buy it. I probably will eventually just give this copy away, to be honest. I'm glad I only got it for $5 because anything more than that would have been way too much ridiculous of a price for this movie. So 6 out of 10, really can't recommend it. Like I said, if you just want to see what the hype was about with why it's a cult classic, maybe watch it. But for me personally, I would not personally recommend this movie. So 6 out of 10. Not a great movie, guys. I'm sorry.